This is the story of Ophelia Veilmore. Gray waves crash against a rock, beating the brittle rocks in ancient corals again and again until breaking apart and scattering more and more across the beach. A gaunt, lurching man, casting a long shadow, drags his begrudging kids behind him as they carefully avoid jagged rocks seemingly everywhere on the beach. Up ahead, a small makeshift hut just at the edge of a cave's mouth. One tiny, flickering light can be seen in the hut's window, with the figure passing back and forth in a rhythmic way. One of the kids, a street urchin in ragged clothes with white matted hair, walks with her head held high. She will make it through this trial, she thinks. And she probably will too. Many children succumbed to their various injuries, whether from harsh flames, brutal punctures, rotting sepsis, or just the arduous journey itself from walking hundreds of miles through harsh, sunny deserts and jungles with oppressive levels of humidity, or by the sweltering, moist, cramped ship hull they were all stuffed into in order to make it to this young witch's hut. She watched child after child die, and it hardened her heart, and it made her stronger too. When one would take a wrong step in the jungle and find themselves almost ripping their own flesh off from horrific rashes, she would make note of what plants that kid touched. When one little girl got swallowed whole by a fish with fully functioning kneecaps but weak legs, she made note to never stand too close to water's edge. When kids got rebellious, she would watch and see just what father would and would not tolerate. Every mistake someone else made was a silent lesson for her, the street urchin in ragged clothes with white matted hair. Before they made it to the hut, father stops the children for a final inspection. Of the 100 or so he originally bought, only a measly 28 of them made it through the journey here, as well as his trials along the way, also racking up a high body count. Nothing he considered too heinous or strenuous, just some light, medium skin and tissue sampling, as well as some tests to see what types of magics and poisons the kids could resist, or more so, be weak to. Yet almost 3/4 of the original kids, aged 12 all the way down to 4, had perished. Shame, he thinks, as he's inspecting a small 6-year-old boy barely holding himself up on weak legs, while his eyes are swollen shut from some allergic reaction. Perhaps from a plant in the jungle, perhaps from something father might have sprayed him with. It's hard to tell the root cause. Another 6-year-old Perhaps his sister, or just some other sympathetic girl, holds his shoulder, helping him stand up as father inspects the pair. This little girl has been guiding him since before the ship. His condition only seems to be getting worse. He won't make it. The street urchin in ragged clothes with white matted hair watches as father produces a knife. A very small, scalpel-like blade, sharp and with an atomic level of precision. Father cuts the boy's throat and wrists, all in a fluid S-like motion, also severing the boy's chains in the process. Blood and steel fly across the rocky shore. The other 6-year-old whimpers, but only for a second, before father flashes a look. She quickly goes silent, stares blankly ahead, as if trying to imagine as if she's not there anymore. The street urchin knows better. She knows helping others only weakens yourself or leaves you exposed. Pretending you're not here doesn't help at all. You're here. It's real. Accept it, she thinks. Father finishes his inspection, heads to the witch's door. The light in her hut suddenly goes dark. Before he can reach for it, the door swings open, revealing a small, slender, peculiar young woman. She's draped in a seaweed from head to toe, as if she had swam through the thickest underwater jungle just to dress herself. Ah, children. Sweet, sweet children. She looks across the group of absurd faces, every now and then licking her lips. Of course, not all of them, but whichever have nothing of importance in their futures, you can keep. Of course. As she beckons the tall, gaunt man into her hut. If you liked that, we have a D&D podcast on YouTube called Cheese City Radio, where we release episodes somewhat weekly. Kind of. Anyways, like, follow, all that jazz for part 2.